The pyramids of Egypt are the most famous ancient monuments in the world. They're the last of the 7 wonders of the ancient world still standing, and they remain among the most visited tourist attractions on the planet. Yet, despite all that, there are still countless mysteries surrounding the pyramids that humanity has yet to unravel. In today's video, let's take a closer look at these enduring enigmas. But first, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can be part of our notification squad. Let's begin with the story of temperature. Every time archaeological technology takes a leap forward, someone inevitably returns to the pyramids to see if the latest innovation will unlock any new breakthroughs. In 2015, a team of international scientists and architects conducted a joint survey of the Giza pyramid complex and uncovered some deep-seated thermal anomalies within these ancient structures. Although various explanations have been put forward, such as the possibility of hidden voids, differences in building materials, or internal air currents, no one can say for certain what the true cause is. Similar anomalies were also discovered in the upper half of the Great Pyramid. This finding came about thanks to the research team's use of infrared thermography to scan the pyramids as they absorbed heat at sunrise, and then again as the limestone cooled during sunset. It's almost a certainty that there are still rooms and secret chambers inside the pyramids that we have yet to reach. But this raises a compelling question. Why would those chambers be warmer than the rest of the structure? Unfortunately, it looks like we may have to wait several more years before we have any real answers. There's a question that comes up time and again when people study the great works of art and monumental structures of ancient Egypt. How did the ancients manage to cut through those massive, thick blocks of stone with an ease that seems almost equivalent to how we slice through butter today? Even the world's largest modern construction companies will have a hard time recreating Egypt's magnificent monuments, yet, we're asked to believe that the ancient Egyptians did it all using nothing but basic hand tools. That's a pretty tough pill to swallow. Maybe they once possessed some kind of incredibly powerful saws. The clearest evidence for this theory lies in the granite sarcophagus inside the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid of Giza. The cut marks on the bottom of the sarcophagus could only have been made by a saw, and not just any saw, but one of enormous size. We can't be sure exactly what kind of saw teeth they used, but it's hard to dispute the evidence left behind by the saw itself. So what happened to the ancient Egyptian stone-cutting technology, and why haven't we ever found a single modern trace of it? If we wanted to, we could make an entire video just about the mysteries swirling around the Great Pyramid of Giza. This structure has stood for more than 4,500 years, and to this day, we still don't truly understand how it was built. That fact alone is enough to earn it a spot on the list of history's greatest enigmas. But there's another mystery that only came to light in 2017. Using advanced scanning technology, archaeologists identified 2 large voids hidden within the pyramid structure, and no one knows for sure what's inside them. They might be nothing more than service tunnels used during construction, or they could be undiscovered tombs waiting in the darkness. One of the voids stretches a full 100 feet and appears to be shaped similarly to the Grand Gallery that lies directly beneath it. It's possible that this space was deliberately designed to reduce the weight of the stone above the Grand Gallery and prevent a catastrophic collapse, but it would be incredible to know for certain. These voids don't seem to have any direct passageways leading into them, which means accessing them won't be easy. Right now, scientists are working on designing new tunneling robots to take on the job. We've just described the Great Pyramid of Giza as being 4,500 years old. But are we really certain about that? Mainstream historians claim that the pyramids of Giza were built over an 85-year period, from 2589 to 2504 BCE, but that might not be entirely accurate. This estimate is based on radiocarbon dating tests conducted on samples taken from inside and around the pyramids back in 1984. At that time, our understanding of radiocarbon dating techniques wasn't as advanced as it is today. Follow-up tests carried out in 1994 and 1995 suggested that the original 1984 estimate could be off by more than 2 centuries, meaning the pyramids might actually be 200 years younger than previously thought. This is significant, because it would mean that the Pyramid of Senusret II was built about a century after he died. There's another issue as well. Radiocarbon dating results are often based on wood samples, and the ancient Egyptians were known to reuse wood many times. The wood samples taken from in and around the pyramids might have already been quite old before they were ever used in the construction. History books will still tell you that 4,500 years is about as close as we can get to the true age of the pyramids, but in reality, the number might be much closer to 4,000 years. We've already discussed the idea that there are voids and anomalies inside the Great Pyramid of Giza. Here's the clearest evidence yet that those voids might actually be secret chambers. In September 2020, explorers identified 2 hidden doors inside the pyramid. They're located at the end of 2 narrow tunnels that extend from the north and south walls of the Queen's Chamber, coming to a halt at stone blocks before they reach the outer walls. The space inside these tunnels is far too tight for a human to explore, but a robot called WebWatt was sent in and managed to take photos of a small stone door fitted with 2 copper handles. That same robot also captured images of faint red hieroglyphs painted on the walls. These markings are pretty rough, almost like graffiti, so it's possible they're just guide marks left behind by the stonemasons during construction. These shafts couldn't have been intended as ventilation ducts because they don't open to the outside of the pyramid, and they're much too small for a person to fit through. Still, the presence of a door suggests that there's something worth protecting behind it. So, what could it be? There's a theory you've probably heard countless times before. In fact, it's been repeated so often that many people accept it as fact, even though the actual evidence is pretty thin. Back in the 1980s, the Egyptologist Robert Bauval claimed that the 3 pyramids at Giza were perfectly aligned with the 3 stars that make up Orion's belt in the night sky. He reinforced this argument in his 1995 book, The Orion Mystery, which went on to become a New York Times bestseller and firmly planted the idea in the public's imagination. The problem is, the whole concept is a bit misleading. You can't actually get the pyramids to line up with Orion's belt unless you invert one or the other. If the ancient Egyptians really wanted to reflect the stars' positions, you'd expect them to have arranged the pyramids in a way that didn't require such an inversion. Secondly, the 3 pyramids weren't built at the same time. There's no evidence to suggest that the 3rd pyramid was even planned when the 1st was under construction. And third, the positions of stars in the sky change over thousands of years. The stars of Orion's belt today don't look the same as they would have 4,500 years ago. As impressive as the pyramids are today, they were even more dazzling when they were first completed. After more than 4,000 years exposed to the elements, their outer surfaces have become rough and weathered. But when they were newly built, the pyramids boasted an exterior shell so polished and radiant that they seemed almost to be made of glass. According to Egyptologist Jacqueline Williamson of Harvard University, the outer casing stones of the pyramids were meticulously polished using abrasive materials like fine sand, sandstone, and even brick to create an incredibly smooth finish. At midday, when the sun was at its highest, the pyramids would have glistened and sparkled as if they were glowing. Williamson is absolutely convinced by her findings, arguing that the precision and effort involved in polishing the stones proves the craftsmanship of the pyramid builders far exceeded anything we might have previously imagined. As for the fate of those gleaming outer layers, they gradually faded and crumbled away over time. However, some of the casing stones were stripped off centuries ago and repurposed for other construction projects, accelerating their decline even further. We know from Egyptian historical records that the Benben stone was once believed to possess supernatural powers. It was originally housed in the Temple of Ra at Heliopolis and was the very first place to greet the morning sun's rays each day. The original stone has long been lost to history, but it inspired the design of many statues and sculptures that still exist in Egypt today, including the capstones that once adorned the famous pyramids. The stone is thought to symbolize the phoenix, an important creature in Egyptian mythology because of its power to conquer death and be reborn. Some historians believe that Benben represents the seed of the phoenix, since in the language used at the time the Temple of Ra was built thousands of years ago, the word carried a meaning close to fertilization. According to one legend, Benben was the mound that rose from the chaotic waters of Nun when the great god Atum created the world. If you've ever heard references to the Stone of Destiny in folklore, those stories are actually about this mystical stone. These days, you're not allowed to climb the pyramids, but back in the late 19th century, there were no such rules in place. The British inventor and explorer Sir William Siemens once decided to scale the summit of the Great Pyramid. When he reached the top, he felt a tingling sensation in his fingertips that quickly spread throughout his hands. Just a few minutes later, as he raised a glass of celebratory wine and took a sip from a metal cup, he was instantly shocked the moment his lips touched the rim. Ever since then, rumors have swirled that the pyramid is somehow capable of generating energy. Beneath the Giza Plateau, there are underground water channels carrying high volumes of water. The movement of this water produces piezoelectricity, and that current might then be channeled up through the pyramid, all the way to its tip. Many fringe theorists have suggested that the pyramids were actually ancient power plants, but as far as we know, the ancient Egyptians had no understanding of electricity whatsoever. It's hard to imagine that they ever intended to harness piezoelectric energy for their monumental works, even if they may have sensed some kind of mysterious force at play. Still, it's strange how well this system seems to operate.